live across the street from a cranberry bog.
Did you really?
I did. Bog boots and all, up in the Northeast, right?
Really?
That's where the cranberry bogs are. So here's the story from my grandma's. 28 ounces, you're getting a coffee cake. This is back. She's the seasonal flavor, the Cape Cod cranberry. Not only that, we're of course going to give you the cinnamon walnut because that's the original and that's how we come. So Marie Louise Ludwig is here, but let me share with you what your choices are. And I encourage you to get the Cape Cod cranberry because this is, you know, it comes just a little bit of time every single year. So here's our seasonal flavor, the Cape Cod cranberry. Cinnamon walnut is up top. And then we also have, again, another kind of fall favorite, which would be your pumpkin for my kids who like the pumpkin spice and they like the pumpkin spice lattes and they like the pumpkin desserts. That's for you. It's M131982. That's your item number. Winner of Best Cake for 2024 of our Customer Choice Awards.
Aww,
so yeah,
thank you,
I mean,
and
everybody loves my grandma's. It's a 100-plus-year-old recipe, still made by hand in small batches. Marie Louise, I'd love for you to introduce us. If you're just joining us for the first time in Gourmet Holiday, hey, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
But my grandma's is always a runaway favorite.
It is a tradition. We go to Boston, a recipe that dates back over 150 plus years. Been at QVC a while, but anyone who loves these will note anytime you get them at home or anytime you ship them, the quality, the consistency, the taste is always the same and always freshly baked and delicious.
So you want to start with the original?
Okay, let's start with the original.
Start
right
with, and that's the one that inspired lines around the block. Exactly. Hand garnished with those walnuts.
Yeah, those fresh California Mariani walnuts and tons of cinnamon sugar on the top. When you cut it, when you take a slice off of it, there's about 14 to 15 or more, depending on how you slice it, or less, depending on how you slice it. On the inside, look at that. This is the way grandmas used to make these. That signature streusel all the way through with all that delicious cinnamon sugar and those California Mariani walnuts, always moist and delicious. And the secret to that is sour cream. And we love the sour cream in that. So that is our cinnamon walnut cake.
And we're going to go to the Cape Cod cranberry because let me not be remiss.
Please.
It is the only presentation of the year of the Cape Cod cranberry. So let me just be clear that I said, oh, it's seasonal. You see it sometimes. This is the one presentation, brand new today, $9.67 on that Easy Pay. Shipping and handling is free. And I'll say right now, I encourage a bill to ship to consideration. So if you already know somebody who loves my grandma's, grab the Cape Cod cranberry because first of all, it's a wet bog is how you get the cranberries. It's very cool.
It is, but well, you know what? And we're going to New England, and that is where cranberries are. So fresh cranberries all the way through on the top, generously loaded. And these also have those California Mariani walnuts. But look at in the center of that. You've got cranberries all the way through the center as well. When you break this open, by the way, before I forget, we know this is important to a lot of our family. Our cakes are always kosher. So no matter the year, you know you can get a kosher cake from us. And look at that. So nice and moist and dense. And that cranberry is so delicious.
Over 400 customers are already placing orders for this, and a lot of them are going for the Cape Cod cranberry. I love the tartness, but still sweet of the cranberry. We're going to go to the cinnamon.
All right,
the
this
pumpkin
is going to
spice,
be the pumpkin spice. This is one of our newer cakes. I believe it was last year, so look at the top of this. When that cinnamon sugar on the top of those spices bakes, it gets a really nice crunch to it. But let's cut that open and show you what happens when our traditional coffee cake meets a pumpkin pie. Fresh pumpkin puree. Look at the colors in that. All of the spices that you'd have in a pumpkin pie in a coffee cake. It is so beautiful. It is luscious with a cup of coffee or a glass of milk or some tea.
The tea that we just had. We just had teaspoons. If you picked up that 96 count of the teaspoons, this would be perfection. With the green tea if you wanted to, or even there was cranberry tea. There was cranberry cran-apple tea. Exactly. And a cherry vanilla. That would match. We're looking at 14 to 16 slices. 500 of you have already said yes, reminding you that you can get the cinnamon walnut, which is where it all began. 100-plus-year-old recipe, made in small batches. Many of these not even made yet. Here, of course, is the only presentation of the year for that Cape Cod cranberry. So once a year, you're watching at exactly the right time. And then we also have the pumpkin spice. It's M131982. Always a great idea to bring dessert with you. If you don't want to do the bottle of wine, this is a dessert that's rated G for everybody.
Beautiful
you know you're
gift
giving
box.
something to the family that everyone can enjoy. And that's how it comes.
That's how it comes, with a piece of cardboard on the top.
Yeah.
And it's in a freezer bag for 365 days if you want to freeze it. But let's go to
here's
Boston.
what's happening. Yeah.
Here's why we love my grandma so much. We're a bakery. We're not a huge bakery. We're not a tiny bakery. We're somewhere in the middle. But what separates us from everybody else is people. Look, you can see our bakers. They are generously loading the inside of every one of our cakes, topping them off, and then finishing them off with things like cranberries and nuts and sometimes chocolate chips and fresh apple slices. Finishing them off with that dusting of cinnamon sugar. Goes into the oven, small bake, bakes for about an hour, cools, goes into a freezer bag, shipped to you, and you can cut slices off and put this into the freezer if you want. It's always ready to go. We love the gift box.
And now let me ask you, we always talk about freshness. Are these made yet, or are they going to be made once we order them?
They're not made yet. They are made to order. And by the way, we got really busy with Christmas in July, and with a recent big deal, we are now baking and fulfilling. I do believe I was told this is our last year airing for the year.
Oh my heavens. Okay,
Yep,
so we've got well over 800 of these spoken for. Most of that is in Cape Cod cranberry. Of course, if you want to add it to some ice cream, if you wanted to do that pumpkin spice with some pumpkin ice cream and a little dollop of whipped cream, maybe you just want to do the pumpkin spice, as you said, with the teaspoons that we just had. Maybe you just want it in the middle of the afternoon for just a little bit of a me moment. Great build to, ship to. I love the idea of $29, and this is a gift that's going to feed 14 to 16 people. They'll think of you when they eat it. They'll think of you as they're having that great conversation around the table after dinner. M131982. This is all about gifts for the foodie. M131982. And it's QVC's Customer Choice Award winner for Best Cake. We actually present a lot of cakes.
We do.
So for you to say, this is it, this is the one, bar none, this is the brand you go to, please order the Cape Cod Cranberry, because that was it. That's our presentation for the year, Bertie. There isn't another presentation. This is it. So please, I don't know, Frankie, if we have a number of left of the Cape Cod Cranberry, but that is it for the year, the only presentation of the year.
So good. Oh my gosh.
Bertie's eating cake.
The walnuts.
I know.
Are they good?
So pumpkin spice, was that the only one without nuts?
Right.
Only one without nuts, if you wanted no nuts. So here's my top. I'll move this little box.